If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands.
There we go.
Perfect. Off we go.
Welcome to edition 98 of All Killa No Filla podcast with me, Rachel Fairburn and Kiri Pritchard-McLean. Just before we start, we'll do our usual disclaimer. This isn't hero worship. We do this podcast because we have a mutual interest in serial killers. As long as we are doing this podcast, it stops us from writing to them in prison.
Yes. What are we? Episode what?
98.
98. We're going to have to do something special for 100.
Yeah. Suggestions, please.
Suggestions, please.
Yeah.
Not something that's multiple parts. Because, do you know what I figured out the other day? Because not only does it take our toll on us, you know, because we now pay someone to edit the podcast.
Yeah.
I think it cost us like £1,000 to do that.
Oh my God, don't.
That's an episode.
Oh, it's a shit business.
Do you know what I always think as well? So before we start recording, to sync the audio, we go, if you're happy, no, clap your hands and clap your hands. And I've realised one of the things I hate about myself is I can't just go, if you're happy, no, clap your hands. I have to try and sing it a bit because I want to be a good singer. And you know what it reminds me of? You know, Summer Heights High.
Oh, yeah.
He talks about being a kid and he's like, Mum. and it's like, I'm the kind of person who, when you sing happy birthday, I am still trying to make it sound good. I don't try and do like sometimes I do a harmony as a joke, but I can't just go happy birthday to. I will be like, I'm not going to do it, but I will try and sing well. And I
think that's a nice thing to do. I think that's nice. If you can hold a tune, why not?
But I can't.
You can. You can hold a tune. You're all right.
I hold a tune. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I suppose.
But this is me you're talking to, remember? Absolutely tone deaf.
God made crows as well as nightingales. You're not tone deaf, but I wouldn't say you are surprisingly bad at singing for someone as good looking as you.
Mate, I cannot fucking sing. It's terrible.
But I think you can swagger around like you can sing. So, you know, that's a lot of it.
I could perform a song. I couldn't. You wouldn't know what I was singing, though.
You were great when you did a musical and you did The Artful Dodger. You were brilliant.
God, that was a long time ago, that, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. A different life ago. Many moons. Pre-Pando.
Happy New Year as well.
Oh shit, is it new? Is this our first one? No, we've done.
Is it not?
We were doing over the fucking New Year. Charles Manson took us into 2023.
Yes, we did.
Take it back now. Apologise.
I can't. I'm sorry. I once heard somebody when I worked at the library was standing in the public area and it was March and someone came in and hugged somebody and went, Happy New Year. But I thought they must be joking.
I am out the coma as it goes.
Yeah, there was no joke with it. They meant it.
Do you know what I feel like? Happy New Year, saying it after a certain point is probably one of those things that, I'll say it, Catholics have appropriated to be like, oh, it's really bad luck if it's after the date, you know, like...
Oh, yeah.
You know, saying bless you and all that kind of stuff.
You blaming my luck for this, are you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. and the noncing.
And the noncing, yeah, of course. Very good nonsense. We wanted to do an Irish one. Speaking of Catholics,
should we say why? Can we hint at why?
I think we could hint at why. I mean, it'd be nice if we took a show there, wouldn't it?
What a lovely hint! Yeah.
Can you imagine? Because we've not been there since the pandemic.
It was literally one of the last things we did before the pandemic. It was plenty of crack, as they say.
Yeah, defo.
And that wasn't just our costumes. They were really fucking fun shows. Really
great
fun.
shows, yeah.
Yeah. And where I discovered my favourite television programme, and the television programme I have the ambition to host, of course, was one night in a hotel. Do you remember you complained about your hotel?
I did, it was too noisy.
And you got your money back, fair fucks.
I did. Do you know, in fact, you've just reminded me, what was the TV show?
The Tommy Tiernan Show.
That was it. I thought of that hotel recently because I was in Birmingham on my tour the other night and I ended up having to stay over because of the trains, and I stayed in the Leonardo Hotel, which we booked before, which used to be Jury's Inn. This is not a sponsored conversation, this is just irrelevant information. And do you know what, it's a really nice hotel, very reasonably priced. And when I got there, because I checked in after the show, I got into the room, and as I went into the room, which was lovely, the room next to me and the room across the corridor from me was clearly like people getting ready for a night out. And they were playing loads of music, and they were drinking, and they were, laughing and that. Having fun. And this was only like 9:15. So I walked into the room and I just went, nah. I walked back to reception and I said, look, you put me in this room. I said, the room's up next and opposite. They're getting ready for a night out. It's a bit noisy. And she went, oh, do you want me to get them to be quiet? I went, absolutely not. Can you move me? I was like, I am not being that cunt on a Friday night.
No.
It's 9:15. Do you want to keep it down? I'm like, can you move me? Let them carry on. Oh, they gave me a wonderful room round a little corner. Silent. Absolutely fantastic.
I don't think I would... It would take an awful lot for me to... I've never complained about a hotel room. Things I found in a hotel room. Piss in the toilet when I checked in.
Oh, God.
Half-drunk water bottle in the room.
Oh, don't. I don't want evidence of other people.
Oh, yeah, no, so much stuff. Oh, a big chunk of the plaster on the wall missing from a leak from the roof. Like a black triangle that went from the top of the ceiling to the bottom, to the floor. And all the plaster was missing. What else have I had?
Do you know, it's the one thing now that because we travel so much and we're away from home so often, I never book. If I can get a nice hotel at a good price, I always will. But I always go for a reliable chain. Your Premier Inn, your Leonardo. You know, that you know it's going to be clean. You know what you're getting.
Sorry to be Lonely Henry, but I fucking love a Premier Inn.
They're brilliant.
Can I tell you which other one I like as well, which I think is lower mid-range and very cheap every now and then? Village hotels.
Oh, I don't know what they are. Are they like the leisure centre?
Yes, yeah.
Are they?
They all have gyms anyway attached to them. But if you film some stuff, they put you up in Glasgow in one that's next to like the studios, and
I think
there's one in like Leeds. Yeah, and it's a bit funky inside.
It's huge, isn't it?
Yeah, I love a village hotel. There you go. To the point where it's one of the few things that I allow the mail outs to reach me.
Oh, really?
Because I think, every now and then.
Holiday Inn Express I do like as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I always think there's building work going on in their receptions.
Look, like Partridge. You're the only one staying there. Also, don't mind an ibis on occasion. On occasion, though.
Yes, I have... also I stayed in that... Do you remember I stayed in that hotel? Did I tell you about that in Cardiff where... the toilet was broken, so they were like, you can wee in it, but you can't flush it.
Oh, you are joking.
No. And I had to piss in the shower because I was like, I can't wee on top of someone else's poo, which was what was there.
Sorry.
And I stood in what was leaking out the toilet.
Sorry, why were they letting someone stay in there?
Because it was £40 on Valentine's Day, Rachel, that's why.
How romantic. Were you on your own?
Yeah, of course I was, and I was almost definitely being filmed. I slept in my clothes because I was, like, sure of it. I stayed in... These are all things that you do on the way up in comedy, and that's actually... I did an open spot, and that's... I'm sure I've told the story before. The Glee emailed me when I was on the train back the next day, because I had to get the train back at 5 to be in work, saying, like... So before I got off the train at, like, 10, they were like, come and do weekends, we love you. And I was like, oh, it was all worth it.
Yeah, it's very difficult, isn't it? Like... Some of the journeys we'd do, like go to London to do 10 minutes for no money, and then you'd get the megabus back home at like midnight, and I'd go straight into work because it got back at 7.
It gets back at exactly. The one I used to get back between 4 and 5, so it like almost wasn't enough time to go home and do anything. So maybe you could shower and then you go back out again. God, I got that fucking megabus so much.
Do you know what? When I look back to those days, that's why if someone said to me, you've got to start comedy from the very beginning, as much as I love it, I'd be like, no thank you, I will stay here at this library until I die.
I do think there's some people who don't do it that way. There's not like a wrong or right way to do it, and I think
and you can tell because they're not very good.
Right, let's move on. This is we decided to do an Irish serial killer. By the way, you've only really got one, and his nickname is the Secret Serial Killer.
Yeah.
Bum bum bum.
Like a secret Santa.
Well, actually, Santa pops up his Sean Corn.
Sean Corn makes an appearance. Mm-hmm. This is Kieran Patrick Kelly. A more Irish name you could not get.
No, O'Finnegan O'Reilly.
O'Finnegan O'Reilly, Mahoney.
It's such a gorgeous Irish name.
So he was born in County Laois. What was his year of birth? I don't think I've got that.
Oh, I think is it like 1952? Let's have a look.
Oh no, he must have been born in the 30s or 40s because he moved to.
Oh yeah, no. So he came to London in 52.
Yes,
Appalled.
So he was born in County Laois. He was looking for manual labour. but he was 5'7" and weighed less than 10 stone, so he wasn't very desirable for that industry. So he moved over to England, to London, with his friend Christy Smith when he was 25 years old. Now, he did have a nickname, didn't he?
Oh, yeah, so because he had, you see pictures of him, he's quite a haunting kind of figure. He's very, very slight, but he's got quite a prominent, I think he looks like what Olive Oil would look like if she was real.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, and so he has
That's
quite
a great
prominent,
description.
a prominent nose, and his nickname was Nosy Kelly, which I think is such a, it's just about his physical appearance, but there's no way that you're not thinking he's also into everything.
Exactly. Now,
I've got his date of birth, it was 16th of March 1930. The website I'm on is like brackets Pisces. I don't care what fucking star sign he is.
just in case you want to know if you're compatible. So 16th, that's the day before St. Patrick's Day, isn't it?
It is, yeah, well remembered, yeah.
This jumps all over the place, and there's not a lot
Patrick? Sorry. St.
What's that?
Patrick. Was he Welsh? Look, this is the Welshest thing I've done in a while, is to claim everyone with any notoriety as your own.
Jesus Christ, wasn't he Welsh? God, I think he was Welsh, actually. St. Patrick, it's one of those things like St. George's Turkish or whatever it is, isn't it?
Well, can I say that Dewi Sant, St. David, our saint, is the only one who's a saint of where he was born.
Oh, really?
Yeah, okay, so he was certainly born in the west of Britain. Just fucking say Wales. Yeah, the English would have certainly classified him as Welsh, is what I found. Oh my God, I can't believe we beat the snakes out of Ireland. Maybe that makes up for when we fought on the side of the British with all the horrible wars.
I mean, none of this fucking shit happened, did it? I don't know.
Yeah, but I think that, feasibly, there's not that many snakes, right? So I think that's 4 years of graft.
You banish one snake, you become a saint.
Well, we've talked about this before, how, no offence, shit the miracle is that St. David did, haven't we?
What was his miracle?
Rachel, strap in, it's embarrassing.
I'm ready.
So he's giving a sermon type thing, he's giving a speech, and some people are like, we can't see you, so the ground raises a little higher.
Oh, right, okay.
He goes on his tiptoes, that's what happens, Rachel.
Oh my God.
And in Wales, that makes you a saint.
That's amazing, I love it. We can't see you, so he moved a bit. We can see you now, that's incredible.
Yeah. The other one, sent snakes away. What did George slay the dragon? What did Andrew do? Andrew, like he's my mate.
Kids? Oh, sorry, different Andrew. St. Andrew? No, listen, I'm terrible with patron saints. I ain't got a clue. All those years at Catholic school, I ain't got a fucking clue.
Okay, let's have a little look. What?
What did he do?
Okay, so he was basically put on the crucifix, but was like, I'm not worthy to be on that shape. So we went on it sideways, like an X, like a saltire, sorry. The bit on the
flag.
Scottish flag. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. And he was basically, his quest for knowledge and daring led him to become the first apostle or disciple to be called by Jesus Christ. No one fucking idea. Yeah, fucking hell, Rachel. Very interesting, completely tapped out.
Look, I was trying.
So back to Kieran Patrick.
So this does jump all over the place because there's not much information. There's information, but it's sporadic and it's, I'd say, slightly unreliable in some cases. There is a podcast about this that you can listen to, and I'm so sorry to say this. I found it incredible.
You're not going to say it.
It wasn't for me.
There we go. Very diplomatic.
That's the way to say it. It wasn't for me. I struggled with it. Mm-hmm. That's all I'll say. Now, what we will say is that he got married in 1961. Kieran marries. It just says an Irish woman that he met in London in 1960. They have a few children, and in 1964 he divorces her. Now, by this point,
can I just say about this? He was actually married twice.
Was he?
He was married. Yeah, he was married once in Ireland and once in London.
Oh,
and he had children from both marriages, who are very likely alive today, but we don't know much or anything about them.
Interesting. He, by this point, has descended into addiction. He's addicted to drugs. He's very much an alcoholic. And he becomes homeless. He's rocking around areas in London, Brixton, Clapham and Camberwell. He's very popular in the homeless community because he's a petty thief as well. He steals from shops, but he shares the items he steals with his friends. He likes to keep warm in the underground stations because they weren't as well policed as they are now. So he managed to keep warm in those overnight. He was in and out of prison often. He went into Broadmoor as well for a bit because he broke into a house and threatened a woman. He was with a fellow miscreant when he did this. And they broke in and threatened this woman. And when he was assessed, they were like, oh, this man's clearly very mentally unwell. We're going to put him in Broadmoor. I think he was in there for about a year. He was regularly in and out of prisons. And he was well known to the police and the prison community. Everything's a community, isn't it? So, if we go back, we should go back a little bit here, because the first incident that we know of, or that he says that he did, the first murder that he says he does, is Christy Smith, his friend that he moved over from Ireland with in 1953.
Do you want to... It's important to say at this point, right, that fact that you found out, is that there's kind of no proof that Christy Smith ever existed.
No, there's no evidence of this man. There's no evidence of the incident, and there's no evidence of the person.
And there was witnesses because Kieran and Christy were in the tube station with two sex workers when this crime was committed. But I do imagine that if they, spoiler alert, did witness a murder, they wouldn't be like, we're going to go to the police who we have a great relationship with, and we're going to report that really scary guy that we see all the time has murdered someone and we are the witnesses for it. So I don't think there being any witnesses would have necessarily impacted on the fact that it wasn't reported. Do you know what I mean?
Well, this is the Queen's coronation, the day of the Queen's coronation. And
are you excited about our King and Saviour's coronation in May?
Absolutely fucking not. I couldn't give a shit.
Do you know when it is, Rachel?
Well, I have noticed it is one of those events that is put in your diary, like the Battle of the Boyne.
Is it?
Yeah,
I had to put it in mine.
It just comes up in mine.
No way, 8th of May, mate. I had to pop that in myself.
It was in my diary, which is weird because I have one that you're writing.
Oh wait, hold on. Holidays in Great Britain, United Kingdom. Yes, no, it is on there.
Is
the
it
coronation of King Charles. Do you know what? I think it's so fucking camp the way they talk about all this stuff.
I mean, I'd be interested to see what happens because he says he's having a pared down. There were some really good tweets that went round when it said that he's going for a pair, like he's not going to go for a big noble outfit. Some really funny tweets, people going as if that's what things that he might wear. Very funny. Love something like that on Twitter. That's what Twitter's for. Come on.
I've got rid of the app now. I barely go on it. I go on it for work and that's it.
Yeah, I tweet where I am, what I'm doing, but I don't really get involved in much.
I go on it on Sunday when I do my radio show because it's really fun chatting to people, and then I just have nice people who found me through my radio show, so that's lovely, and then I don't go on it the rest of the week.
No.
I love that he's like, we're going to have a pet, because obviously the Queen's coronation was absolutely huge, big festival, or certainly that's how we have been taught about it. I wasn't around, because I'm asleep.
I mean, there wasn't much going on, was there? I mean, and also it's one of the first memorable televised events, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's why it would have been so big.
But the way he's like, a pared down event, he's like, honestly, we've got wine here, but if you want beer, bring that. We've got some Doritos and dips, but we're not really doing food.
Do you know what? We're just going to see how many people turn up. We're going to order a Domino's a bit later on. Just,
we've got an exit game, so we can have a chill out space, and we can have people who want to play the escape room game.
Yeah, and there's no pressure. If you don't feel like it on the day, it's fine.
Yeah, if you need a mental health day, that's absolutely fine as well.
And if you do need to stay over, there are some hotels we can recommend in the area. We do have 2 rooms available for friends, though. If you just let us know.
And we've always got the futon if things get difficult.
Yeah.
Tell you what, I would not fucking sleep on a futon where Prince Andrew had fucking access to it.
Oh God, don't. Oh God. I bet the Queen's glad she's dead.
Yeah.
So this was a huge event. It was televised around the world as well. The coronation, as I say, probably one of the first big worldwide events. But in London, people would have been lying in the streets. People would have been excited. So Christy Smith and Kieran Kelly think, this is a good opportunity. We're petty thieves. There's going to be loads of people. Let's go and pick some pockets. See what we can get. Now, they are at Baker Street Tube Station. A nice tube station, that. A tube station that I used to have to get off at when I worked at London Business School. And I enjoyed it every single time. Because...
it's nice. It's quite Sherlock Holmesy themed, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really, really nice. I love the London Underground. I'm obsessed with it. I think I've mentioned this before. I am obsessed with it. I've got so many videos on my phone of tube trains just arriving in the station. I fucking love it. Do you know, is it Waterloo? Yeah, in fact, I've got to go there tonight. When the trains come round the corner, I love it. It's really exciting.
There's a few I like. I love. I think the Bakerloo line, even though it looks 1,000 years old, is really charming. It looks like
great.
A sort of steam coach, steam carriage. I do like the Sherlock Holmes sort of tiles on the wall. I like that. The Elizabeth line is like the future. I do like that. But generally, I think I would always get a bus over a tube.
Oh my God, no. Do you know there's never a day...
What?
No, there's never a day that I get on the tube that I don't find it exciting.
Really?
I love it.
But Rachel, the brilliant thing about the bus is, for a start, it's cheaper. So it's like £1.50. And the whole point is you can see London.
Yeah.
You're not in like a brick tube under the thing. So you're driving around the Monopoly board. It's fucking amazing.
I love the stations. I love the announcements. I love the smell.
Where's the station where they have a different voice because it's that man?
Is it Embankment? It's the lady whose husband used to do the Gap, wasn't it? And he died, and she used to go and listen to the announcement, and they kept it, and they gave her a copy of it too.
It's so nice.
It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's lovely.
But this isn't nice. Seamlessly moving on. They're waiting for the tube, Kieran and Christy, and they're sort of chatting away. And what you need to know as well is Kieran was gay. And we think that Christy knew this, and we think he was winding him up, don't we?
Yes, because he starts sort of teasing him, going, oh, you're 30, you should be getting married soon. And that could just be, I don't know, being a woman. But in this case, they think that it was him trying to needle, that he either knew he was gay because he was out to him. Because there's basically two schools of thought that said he knew he was out, and suddenly Kieran was like, shit, he's going to out me, and he knows my boss, he knows my family, he knows my priest, and I'm going to get like excommunicated by all of those things if they find out that I'm gay. Because at the time, it's still, I mean, fuck, there's risk to coming out now, let alone back then. So he starts panicking. This is like, what is it, late 50s?
1953.
1953. So he's... No, he moved here in 1953, and he said he was 25 when he moved here, so wouldn't it be 1958, roughly?
Oh, it could be, yeah.
So he's basically... He said he spends the whole day shaking and panicking that his life, basically, this is the last day where his life is normal and it's about to be ruined. And then later that night, they've been out on the Raz. They're there with two sex workers waiting for the tube, and he says it comes to him like a blinding light, what he needs to do.
Okay. He pushes him on the track, under a train. He grabbed him by the neck and threw him under the train.
Ugh.
And that's it. That's the end of Christy Smith, as far as we know. Yeah. If he ever existed. Yeah. Bizarre.
Yes. Now, what's very weird is this murder, his first murder that's known to us, sort of weirdly defines his next set of murders, in that there's two ways. One is he repeats pushing people in front of a tram, and they think he's sort of like replaying the murder of his best mate. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is he kind of wages a war on gay people. Pufters, as he used to call them. Oh. You don't hear very much anymore, do you?
Not really, no.
I'm not vying to bring it back, don't get me wrong.
Is this your campaign? Is this what you want?
It's my next Edinburgh show. Is like, guys, it's just words. So he would, he had a horrible MO, which we will discuss in later times, but this is his first known murder. Mm-hmm. Have we talked about William Boyd?
No, we're going to go to that.
Now, that's what we're doing next, isn't it? Yes.
So the reason we know about Christy Smith is because, let me find my notes, many years later, in 1983, he's arrested, Kieran's arrested with a chap called Paul McGrath, who I think used to be is the name of an ex-Manchester United footballer. That's by the by. I think it was Paul McGrath. But look, I don't know how I know these things. They'd robbed an elderly man, and they were arrested, and they were thrown into a cell for the night. Now, there was a chap in the cell called William Boyd. He'd been in there from the night before. Apparently been drinking very heavily, and he was snoring. Now, the snoring annoyed Kieran, and he's like, I'm not having this. He takes his socks off, he tied them together, and he strangled William Boyd to death. Now, first of all, why did he still have his socks? I don't know if you're allowed those. Some people say it was a shoelace as well, don't they?
And some people say it was a scarf.
Yeah,
so socks is the consistent thing in it, but whether it was also shoelaces and a scarf, he doesn't just do that. Remember, this guy is quite tiny.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense to me that you would be able to, well, you'd still need a lot of force, but strangle someone with some fucking stinking socks, right?
Oh, don't. Please don't. I can't even bear the thought of it.
So it sort of makes sense that you would do that, but you would still need a lot of strength. And the other thing is, I don't know why I laughed, it's fucking awful. He caves this sleeping, drunk guy's, snoring guy's head in.
Fucking hell.
Which is like pure rage, right?
Yeah. Awful. McGrath is horrified. Mm-hmm. He's like, what the hell is this guy doing? He starts banging on the door to get the police. They're like, oh, what's happening in this cell? They go down there. They go into the cell. They find Boyd is dead. McGrath is in the corner hysterical. Kieran Kelly is sitting there sockless like an Essex boy and grinning.
He's fucking pumped with adrenaline. Absolutely pumped.
He's loving it.
He's still kicking off as well because he was like, you shouldn't have put me in a cell. I shouldn't have to share a cell.
Oh, sorry. Who the fuck do you think you are?
It's like you when you're in a hotel. Excuse me.
You
don't let me take my socks off.
See, if he'd have just done what I did, if Kieran Kelly had just walked in and gone, absolutely not, you're going to have to put me somewhere else. None of this, we won't be here talking about this.
So yeah, he's barefoot, fucking chest pounding, and he's so full of adrenaline, he immediately starts confessing to loads of murders. Not all of them. They think there's some theories that he killed 31 people overall, but he immediately bangs out 5 confessions, and that's not including the man who is dead on the floor next to him. So we're going to go through as many of these murders as we can now.
Yes. So should we start with Fisher?
Oh yes, Hector Fisher.
Hector Fisher. Now, Hector wasn't a homeless man. He was an addict, though. He was an alcoholic, and he used to hang around with homeless people, have a drink with them, stay out until the early hours of the morning. At this point, this is Christmas Eve. Hector is dressed as Father Christmas, which gives a very bizarre sort of image to all this. Now, apparently, Hector had a big wad of cash with him and sort of showed it. And Kelly was like, right, I'm going to have a bit of that. So when Hector leaves, he attacks Hector and he robs him. But he leaves £40 in Hector's pocket. So it just looks like he was attacked and not robbed. He's very proud of this fact, Kelly, actually.
Well, it is quite clever.
Oh, he thinks it's wonderful. He's absolutely thrilled with himself. He was actually interviewed about this murder. Mm-hmm. And because the witnesses to this were homeless people and also drunk, they were considered very unreliable witnesses. But really, the police weren't really asked about this, were they? It was just like, it's just another alcoholic dead, and, you know.
But it's very violent. He's stabbed repeatedly in the head and neck, and I'm dressed as Father Christmas. Imagine the kid that found that the next day.
Can you imagine?
Being like, this is the worst day of my life.
Father Christmas is dead! Kelly says as well, when he's been interviewed by the detective Ian Brown, not that one, he says he killed him. He killed Hector because he was a dirty old cunt. Less of the language.
Yeah, I wonder what that's hinting at. I'm not saying it's hinting at. That makes it sound like I'm saying a murdered man is a paedophile. I'm not. I just wonder why he used that set of phrasing. I don't know why I'm questioning it, because that is something that I would throw out just several times a day at my dog, my partner,
a stranger.
I've had to. The postman. Not the postman. My postman's absolutely lovely. It was his birthday the day.
She's a dirty old cunt.
They basically interrogated about 12 people, because it was seen with a massive group of homeless people last seen alive on Christmas Eve. And Kieran was investigated, but basically they, like you say, they thought that they were too drunk to amount to anything. No one was really pushing for Hector's murderer to be found, and there was no evidence that that they could get a murder charge, so they just didn't bother. That was it.
Who's next?
Now, I have Edward Toll next, which is... this is about 6 months... Oh, no, a couple of years later, actually. 31st of May, 1977. Of course, the Silver Jubilee, Rachel. In 77. All of this is sort of coronation-themed.
Hold on, just stop 1 second. I think Tim wants to get something out of the...
For fuck's sake, Tim.
The beauty box in the bedroom. Oh, it's a little hairbrush.
A little hairbrush for his hair?
Little hairbrush for his hair. Must be having a meeting online. Little hairbrush. Must be having a meeting online. He's brushing his hair, but he's got no pants on.
I didn't think men use hairbrushes unless they have very long hair.
Tim brushes his hair all the time.
With a hairbrush or a comb?
Yeah, he uses a hairbrush.
Oh my God, Rachel, what an absolute fanny. Yeah. I do find it strange. I'm like, what's he brushing?
Oh yeah, he loves her. He's got a lot of hair, hasn't it? Mind you, your fella's got a lot of hair as well. Does he not use a hairbrush?
Curls, mate. You can't brush curls.
Ah, see, there you go. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Ah, see, Tim's brother's got curly hair and he doesn't use a hairbrush.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. And also, a lot of my male friends are now bald, so...
yeah, of course,
I don't see them using a hairbrush either. So... Ed Toll, is that who we're going for?
We're going to go for Ed Toll. Yeah. Now, poor old Ed Toll. This is a bit like Jack the Ripper in that a common theme here is rough sleeping as a result of alcoholism and drug abuse. So Ed Toll is having a lovely little nap on a gravestone.
As you do.
As you do. And then an old nosy Kelly fucking strides over and is like, this is my gravestone. This is the one that I like to sleep on. I don't know what about it is particularly
Who knows?
Nice. Yeah. Maybe it's sheltered.
Possibly, yeah.
So he was like, oh, look at him asleep there on my gravestone. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the piece of rope that I'm using as a belt, which I thought was a purely North Walian farmer fashion, but it's made it to the capital, and he strangled him to death.
Wow. Not only did he strangle him, there's 2 witnesses there that watch this in horror. And Kelly walks away, and one of them says, I think you've killed him. Kelly goes back, does it again, to make sure the guy's dead, and he says, sure, he's dead now, which is the most Irish thing to say in that circumstance, I think.
Do you know a weird thing? You know, I've got a brilliant Irish builder who I get on really well with. He's a right laugh. He's really charismatic. Has no indoor voice. And I'd say I'm on the 4th Irish joke that he sent me now. Like really? A meme. A very grainy meme that he sent me that's like, Paddy says to so... There's always the word Paddy in it. Paddy says to so-and-so, and it's like... And they'll always have bejesus written as one word. Yeah, and he'll just sort of send them over. Now, to be clear, he knows what I do as a job. And he also is Irish. So I just can't... I can't fathom out what he's... And also, Rachel, we're on the 4th one. I've yet to respond to any of them.
You just politely...
Of course I ignore it. And then about 4 days later, I'll be like, hey, we've got the slate here now, or whatever. Like, I'll just... It's like it never happened. Because I'm like, I don't know what to say to this. What would you say if an Irish builder was sending you xenophobic Irish jokes?
I would respect his sense of humour about his community. And if it was funny, I'd laugh.
Well, okay, there's the problem, is I don't think many of them are very funny.
It is a bit uncomfortable, I admit.
No, it's not I'm just like, why the fuck is he sending me this? Also, like, I'm a comedian. Like, Do you know what? Because, you know, when people are like, you know, when someone dies and immediately you start getting sent chain jokes. And I'm like, no, that hasn't happened really since... No, since I've got friends with comedians, they just don't do that. What happens is, genuinely, I'm on a WhatsApp group. It's called something different at the moment, but it's originally called... We would refer to it as Midnight Curry because we always used to go for curry after gigs. Will Duggan is on it. And Will Duggan is known as the Grim Reaper on the group because basically it'll be like, fucking... the Queen's dead, or whatever. As soon as someone dies, he's straight in there with the information, and to the point where we're like, listen, it's if someone else is like, bloody hell, so and so's died, we're like, it's not official until Will Duggan calls it. So yeah, the old fucking Grim Reaper. That's basically, and I imagine it'll get more so. Am I allowed to say he's had a baby? Yeah, he's put it on social media. So now he's become a father. I imagine that his time is going to be taken up largely with that, and as a result, we'll probably only hear from him when, don't know, Joanna Lumley dies.
Absolutely. So maybe he's the official he's the Grim Reaper spokesperson for comedians. That's what he is.
Yeah. Not bad, that.
Queen's dead.
He's got a pension. Queen's dead.
Queen's dead. Lisa Marie Presley's dead.
Cher's mum's dead.
Cher's mum died?
Cher's mum died. And I wrote a sketch for Tara about it, about Cher's mum is one of those people where someone goes, Cher's mum's dead, and you go, fucking hell, really? Cher's mum? And the whole thing is that you're like, in your head, you're like, I thought she died fucking years ago. There's so many people that I'm like, didn't they die years ago?
It's always weird when you think someone's dead and it turns out they're not, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm about to Google someone now that I think is alive, but I always think is dead.
Yeah, I had that very recently, because I'm usually quite good at stuff like that. Like, oh yeah, they're dead, they died in this shit. Oh yeah, someone the other week I was like, but it's probably, do you know what it is? It's probably some actor that was in some shit that I watched that nobody else wants to see.
Can I tell you who I always think is dead?
Yeah.
Jim Broadbent.
Oh, really? Oh no, very much alive.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. I'll see him pop up in something. I'm like, Jesus, when was this made? And it's like, this year? And I'm like, what? Every single time.
Jim Broadbent's been nominated for an Oscar, but he's been dead for 10 years.
I thought he'd be in that slow video at the end.
Oh, don't. Oh, dear. Right, I can't even remember how we got onto this.
No, I can't remember either. So, only a few days after Edward's murder is his next one, and it is really incredibly vicious, is a sort of like... And this is where he starts his murders that are sort of designed to punish gay people. So his MO would be he'd kind of seduce them and go, let's go somewhere quieter. And this would be what he would do, is what he did with Maurice Whaley? Wiley.
Maurice
so he's
Wiley.
68 years old, Maurice, and he's in Soho. So his face and his genitals had been mutilated.
Ugh.
But also what he would do is they'd sort of begin a sex act, and when the guy was turned away from Kieran, he would take a broken bottle that he'd hidden and he would push it into their rectum.
You horrible little sod.
It's fucking awful.
It's horrible, isn't it? He's a horrible bastard.
Yeah, it's really rough. Now, the police find old Nosy Kelly and one of his mates very close to where this murder is, with bloodstains on their clothes. And he is charged with murder, but nothing really comes of it.
He was acquitted in court because the witness, who was a raging alcoholic, had been drunk at the time.
And this the mate who was there, who's also covered in blood, describes the crime in like perfect detail about how it was executed, what Kelly did, what they did afterwards. But because there's 6 months before the trial comes to it, he basically, like you say, gets let go because he was an alcoholic and because he was absolutely hammered when it happened. They were like, listen, this is our only witness to this. The case hangs on a guy that's probably going to fall apart under cross-examination and also is not of good character. So that's it. They just let him the fuck off. Now, his mate, who was going to testify against him, goes missing and was never seen again.
Oh.
And eventually, Nosy Kelly confesses in sort of the mid-80s and says, yeah, I also killed him.
There's a few other sporadic things here that we don't really know anything about. I've just got a chap called Scots Jack who was beaten to death in a basement in Clapham.
Fucking hell.
He also used to force people... He killed He claims he killed somebody by forcing them to drink a bottle of whiskey.
What? Oh my God, it's like a fucking stag do.
It's awful,
Like,
isn't
what,
it?
mate? Come on, fuck you, we're all drinking. I don't care if you're on antibiotics.
Yeah,
just a
doubt
fucking...
it,
This is Dave's last big weekend and you're being a fucking pussy.
There was Francis Taylor, another murder that he was acquitted of. He happily, when he was confessing this, he happily named the ones that he actually remembered.
Yeah.
So we think Scotch Jack was in 1973. He said he killed a fella in Bournemouth, but there's no date of this. The death with the whiskey was in 1976. In 1977, Ed Toll was acquitted of that. In 83, he pushed a chap called Jock Gordon onto the tracks of a tube, and Gordon dropped the charges because he was his friend.
Yes.
Nice friend.
Well, this is the thing, is he was very popular amongst homeless people. And also had a reputation for, what's the sort of exacting revenge on snitches.
There was an incident where he pushed an elderly man under a train, but the driver saw the man fall onto the tracks and braked. So the guy was, survived. But witnesses said that they saw Kelly do this. It was reported.
Oh, there was loads of witnesses.
But it was thrown out because there was no substantial evidence, apart from loads of people seeing it.
No, it wasn't the evidence. So this is the one in Tooting Bec, isn't it? So there's 3 men who see him do it. They restrain him. They call the police. So they see it. They apprehend him there. The police come. And he's interviewed. He's charged. He's on trial. Old Bailey. And then they go, do you know what? There's no motive to this. So they just let him go.
Oh, okay.
Because basically the jury couldn't come to a verdict because they couldn't prove that there was any kind of, intent, basically. So he's acquitted.
Wow.
Fucking mad, innit?
So, do we come to the trial now? Because it's so bizarre.
No, there's a few more.
Who's now?
No, well, this is just before this. This is really fucked up. So this is one of the names he could remember. This is a guy called Mickey Dunn. This is in August of 1982. So it's one of his last murders, about a year before he kills William Boyd. Now, he was also a homeless guy who had, addiction issues. Mm-hmm. So they would knock around in this graveyard in Tooting, which it sounds like where Edward Toll met his end. Mm-hmm. Now, in a murder trial, one of the many murder trials that he's in, Mickey had given evidence against Kelly. So Kelly just basically sat on it for ages. Mm-hmm. And what he'd do is he would steal vodka and he would sort of mix it with squash. Yeah, the orange juice. There we go, orange juice. And he'd hand it round. And what he was doing is, and everyone else knew about this except Mickey Dunn, is Mickey's was filled with surgical spirit and amphetamines that he'd stolen from a chemist. So he mixed it all up. It was basically Kool-Aid, and everyone else was drinking the other stuff. So everyone's knocking it back and getting pissed, and you can only taste the orange juice anyway. And he absolutely fucking hoofs all this stuff. He's out of his head anyway when he starts drinking, then passes out, and he dies a few days later. Some people allege it was of natural causes.
Well, it was listed as pneumonia and liver failure. I mean, I imagine he did have liver failure.
Yeah, because he's been drinking white spirit. I don't think it's a natural cause. So he was never arrested for that. And basically the first time they knew about it was when he confessed in 1983 to that murder.
Wow.
In 1984, it goes to trial at the...
Just for the murders of Boyd and Fisher.
Yes. Well, because he basically confesses to 5 and then sort of maybe to 16, but 5 he can name. And then they go, right, we think we've got enough evidence for 2. Bearing in mind, one of them was beaten up.
We should say as well, during his confession, he was having a great time because he was shadow boxing.
Oh my God, that's such a fun... No shoes on, no socks, shadow boxing. And be like, and then I killed this guy. Bonkers. Absolutely. Arsehole. You said that. You were like, this guy's fucking deeply mad.
Oh, he's legit insane, I think.
I think he's
severely mentally ill.
Yeah, he's really, really unwell, and he's also a raging alcoholic.
Yes.
And they're not easy bedfellows, are they?
No, they're not.
Okay, so he basically goes to trial. He is found guilty of William Boyd and Hector Fisher's murders. You should fucking think so, William Boyd. He's in a cell. It's not a fucking Jonathan Creek episode. There's a witness. The police are there. He's got no socks on. The guy has been strangled with his socks. I'd be amazed if it was someone else. Yeah. So he's sentenced to life imprisonment. Now, a psychologist said, listen, you can't let this guy out, you need to keep him locked up. So he went to Wandsworth Prison, and then he gets transferred a little bit later to Wakefield, and then he eventually goes up to Durham, which is where they keep all the very bad ones. It comes up a lot on this podcast. And in 2001, he dies in Durham Prison.
Age 71.
It's quite a good age, that, for someone who's probably got cirrhosis of the liver.
Absolutely. I mean, the best and safest place for him is definitely prison. He probably had a better quality of life in there.
Yeah, I'm just Googling something about... No.
What?
This can't be right. So this website I'm looking at, it sort of lists his motive as a PC extremist. And I was like, that can't stand for politically correct.
What? Piss can. It stands for piss can.
But do you know what he shouted? So when he was sentenced to life in prison, do you know what he yelled to the court?
Go on.
So it's June 1984 when the trial.
Is it dicks out for Harambe?
No, he said, "Happy Christmas to you all." And it's June.
Oh my God, no. I don't know why, that's really funny.
Now, there's a book about him written by an officer.
You know what it reminds me of? You know in Looney Tunes cartoons when, like, Daffy Duck gets smacked round the head and he'll just say something stupid. That's exactly Happy Christmas to you all.
Yeah, so it's a good parting blow. Now, Jeff Platt is a former police officer who allegedly sort of worked across his cases and was there when he killed William Boyd, was sort of, in the questioning. He has written a book about him, and he says that he killed up to at least 31 people. Now, the reason why he's called the secret serial killer is because the Home Office were aware that someone was pushing people under trains on the Northern Line, but they were like, don't say it out loud because then people stop using the tube.
Oh, okay.
Which is, absolutely mad that is a thing. It's also a theory, I think, that's put forward in the ex-police officer Jeff Platt's book, which has been refuted by different sources, just to give some BBC-style balance.
Okay.
And there's been another one. There's been an Irish journalist did a documentary and said it's at least 16 people he killed. So the most prolific and, in many people's view, only Irish serial killer there.
Interesting.
Kieran Patrick Kelly.
Interesting. So it's a strange one.
Do you know what? One of the reasons why they think that he got away with it for so long is that he was unremarkable. So other than having quite a prominent nose, but he was very slight, he was very small, he was very unassuming. He's kind of like, I was saying to you, I feel like I know 8 men who look exactly like him. Just like little sort of petite, wiry, slightly weird men.
Could just go unnoticed.
Yeah, he could go unnoticed.
And also being homeless and addicted to things, he's one of the kind of forgotten people, isn't he, as well?
Yeah, so the people he murders, also he's very well liked, he's very influential in the homeless community, so the people that might be able to bear witness aren't. So
he's not got a house, there's nowhere he goes back to, he goes anywhere he wants, he just ends up places, there's no trail to him, really. No, and that's why he's our hunk of the week. Oh God, don't. That's really funny. Joe, that was a lovely bit of comedy because it was the element of surprise.
Thanks so much.
That was very good. So that's him, Kieran Patrick Kelly. Do not like. Would not recommend.
There's rumours that there was a cover-up job from the Met Police. And I mean, they haven't bathed themselves in glory recently, have they? Fuck me.
Not really, no.
There's a whole episode on the Met Police that we can do.
Yeah. But, scary shit.
It's fucking terrifying, and it's terrifying. Yeah. But
I mean, it's just in case anybody doesn't know it. A police officer who was charged has now been charged with several rapes, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And this was while he was a serving police officer, and the day after he was charged, the Met Police did an announcement saying he's now been sacked. Oh well, thank you. That's good news.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. That's a relief.
Yeah. It's one of those things where you're like, sorry, he's just been sacked.
He's just been sacked.
But I guess it's that thing of like, sorry to be like boring, but like they are still civil servants and they have to go through a due process.
Yeah, I know. But there is, I mean, when this, look, we'll wait for the facts, is all I'm going to say.
Oh, the facts are, and there's so much stuff coming out about like we're serving police officers with like rape investigations against. Yeah, it's a fucking, I don't think the Met Police Force are maybe unusual in being any kind of organisation with a problem, I mean, but
when you consider you have to be CRB checked to do.
But Rachel, that just means you've been caught.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I think that about because I've got a enhanced DBS, which means that I can kind of like every part of my everything has been checked. Hey boys, wink wink, and it's been signed off and rubber stamped. But that just means I haven't been caught. Not that like that. That's not me like saying that. This is my confession on the podcast.
Well, I love an episode that ends with a confession. Amazing. Incredible scenes.
But this is the thing, why when you're doing something with young people, sometimes they don't just do a DBS, sometimes they'll interview people around you. Mm-hmm. Because there might be something that DBS hasn't, or that, you know, never was acquitted or never went further. And if someone who worked with you 2 jobs ago goes, oh, actually, there was that weird thing with that young person or whatever. They can go,
actually. Yeah, he does fancy kids.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, he did go off Justin Bieber when he hit 18, now you mention it.
So that is Kieran Patrick Kelly. Things to say, we're in London on the 4th of March.
We are.
Doing a live show as part of Just for Laughs Festival. We're in a Spiegel tent.
We're in a beautiful Spiegel tent, and apparently it's selling very, very, very well. We're one of the top sellers. So now I am obsessed with this being the most sellers. So we
might be the most seller. You don't know.
I think we're up there. I don't know if we can be in Ryan Reynolds, mate, but yeah.
So yeah, it's on sale now. There's over half of the tickets have gone. It's the 4th of March. It's part of the Just for Laughs Festival at the O2 in London, but we're in a beautiful Spiegel tent, which suits us down to the ground actually. Mm-hmm. And it's on sale now, so come and see us there. If you want to see me on tour, there's a few dates left.
Aye.
If you want to see my brand new material show that's at March at the Frog and Bucket in Manchester, be quick. There's only a few tickets left for that. What else?
That'll be good.
That's it, really.
I'm doing some swap don't shops around the country, which is where you bring along items that you love, that you've never worn. People do the same with theirs, and then you just come back a few hours later or a couple of days later, depending on where it is and what we're doing with it. And then you swap them and you go home with lovely new things. And do you know what? Genuinely, this sounds really lame, but seeing people, especially people I think are really fucking cool, picking up something that doesn't fit me or I've never been able to pull off or whatever, and being like, I love this, and I'm like, you're gonna have so much fun in that, and I've always wanted to wear that, and it's never been quite right for me. I didn't realise it'd be such like a wholesome, exciting feeling. I get really excited. So we're doing one in Manchester on the 12th of March at the Frog and Bucket. Tickets are free. You just bring along a donation for everyone to Manchester. So bring along some pads or tampons, who are a brilliant charity. We're doing one in Cardiff now. That's technically sold out, but we'll whack a few tickets on just before it. And we're going to do one in Bristol. If you know of a venue in Bristol that would be good for it, please slide in my DMs.
Did anyone take my things that I donated?
Rachel, they fucking flew off the shelves.
I might have some more stuff. So
really,
I'll probably see you soon. So, or if not, I'll whack them in the post to you. I've got a few things that I think would be good. Maybe a couple of little handbags as well that I don't.
Yeah,
use.
Great.
So
I've got loads coming up. So yeah, and that's the thing is like I have got mates who got fucking amazing wardrobes who are very. I can't believe the stuff they get. And do you know what's nice is people don't really bring shit. You know, like shit with holes in. They bring they're going, what would someone else love to have? And that's a really nice.
Yeah. This is also, you know, I never really stuff for charity shops. You don't take shit stuff there either.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, you take good stuff that people might want. If something's so bad and falling to bits, it's for the bin or it's for cleaning. Cut it into rags.
Yeah, I did do a swap event, not anything that I've put on. And we were going through this stuff, and there was someone had their period in trousers and had donated them. Yeah, but you kind of think, oh, maybe they didn't notice because there's a pattern. But also, you're like, right, well, these that just feels rum. It feels like a personal attack.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because periods are disgusting. That's what this bit's about. We're going to do one in London as well, I think, in May. I think I might be doing it with some people I know at Oxfam.
That's nice.
And we're returning to Bangor, North Wales in probably April. So there you go. Basically one every month until June.
Exciting. Mm-hmm. And you've got some good stuff from it.
Oh my fucking God, I've got some belters. Also, the main thing is I need to get rid of shit that I'm holding on to. Because I used to run like a vintage clothes thing. I used to sell stuff. I've got boxes and boxes that I'm finally getting through. It's, you know, stuff that you're like, listen, I've had this for years. I've never worn it. The one time I wore it, I felt uncomfortable because it's too short or it's this or it's that.
There's stuff that I've got that I know, I'm like, I love this. It's not me though.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And you just don't want to let it go, but it's easy to let go when you know someone's going to enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. So all those are on Eventbrite if you have a little search, but I probably have been whacking them in my Instagram stories as well. Right, I've got a meeting.
Right, let's go. I'm hungry.
Bye.
Thanks, bye.